Do you ever find yourself thinking about the same thing over and over like it won't go away? You try to stop, but your mind just won't let go. You replay past conversations. You overanalyze what you said. You stress over things that haven't even happened yet. Overthinking has never actually solved anything. So why do we keep doing it? Why does the mind latch onto things and refuse to let go? And more importantly, how do you stop? Let's talk about it. Most people don't realize this, but overthinking isn't just a bad habit. It's something the brain is programmed to do. It's wired for problem solving, but when there's no immediate problem to fix, it creates one. Think about it. When was the last time your mind truly rested? Even when you're lying in bed, trying to sleep, your brain keeps running, planning, analyzing, worrying. It's like a computer with too many tabs open, overheating, slowing down. And the worst part? Most of those thoughts aren't even yours. They're things you picked up from social media, from other people's opinions, from fears that were never even real. Overthinking feels productive. It tricks you into believing that if you just think a little longer, analyze every possibility, control every outcome, you'll finally feel at peace. But what actually happens? You get stuck. You feel more anxious, not less. You create problems that don't exist. Because let's be real, most of the things we stress about never even happen. A small problem pops up, and before you know it, you've built a whole mental disaster scenario around it. You get lost in what-ifs. What if I fail? What if they judge me? What if things go wrong? What if I end up alone? What if I never figure it out? And suddenly, your mind convinces you these problems are real. But here's the truth. Most of the things you stress over never actually happen. That moment of awkwardness you replay in your head, nobody else even noticed. The worst-case scenario you obsess over, it rarely comes true, and even if it does happen, it's never as bad as your mind made it seem. Overthinking is like watching a horror movie, except you are the director and the fear isn't real. It's just a story in your head. So how do you stop? First, recognize the pattern. When you feel yourself spiraling into overthinking, pause. Ask yourself, is this thought useful? Or am I just looping the same worry again? If it's useful, act on it. If not, let it go. Second, interrupt the cycle. The longer you sit still with your overthinking, the stronger it gets. Your brain needs movement to break the cycle. So stand up, go for a walk, breathe deeply. Do anything that shifts your focus from your mind to your body. Because overthinking lives in stillness. And clarity, it lives in movement. And finally, the most powerful thing you can do, learn to trust. Overthinkers don't have a thinking problem. They have a trust problem. They don't trust that things will work out. They don't trust their own ability to handle life as it comes. They try to mentally control everything because deep down, they don't believe they can handle uncertainty. But here's the truth. Most of life is uncertain. And yet, you've made it this far. You've survived every challenge you thought you wouldn't. And you will again. Try seeing it like this. You're standing by a river, watching the water flow. You see leaves, twigs, maybe even some debris floating downstream. Those leaves are your thoughts. Most people reach into the water trying to grab every single one, analyzing it, holding onto it. But you don't have to. You can just watch them go. The moment you realize that your thoughts are not you, that they can exist without your interference, you start to feel a level of peace that overthinking could never give you. It's not about forcing your mind to stop thinking. It's about seeing through the illusion, about realizing that most thoughts don't need your attention, about understanding that you are not your thoughts. You're the one observing them. And when you truly get that, overthinking loses its grip. You ever notice how the thoughts you overthink the most are usually about things that already happened or haven't even happened yet? The brain has this habit of dragging the past into the present and pulling the future into now. never letting you just exist in this moment. You sit there, replaying that awkward conversation from 2 years ago like it actually matters. You worry about a meeting tomorrow as if stressing about it today will change anything. But here's the thing. The past is over. The future isn't real yet. So why does the mind keep dragging you between the two? Because it's addicted to control. It thinks that by constantly analyzing the past, it can prevent mistakes. It thinks that by obsessing over the future, it can control what happens. But the truth, you can't change the past. You can't predict the future. All you're doing is sacrificing the present. Think about it. How much of your life have you spent mentally living in a moment that wasn't even real? How many hours have you wasted trapped in your head, missing out on what's actually in front of you? The mind convinces you that thinking about a problem equals solving it. But when has overthinking ever given you a real answer? If thinking more was the solution, you'd have figured everything out by now. But instead, the more you think, the more confused you get. Because overthinking isn't clarity, it's noise. And the more noise there is, the harder it is to hear what actually matters. You ever wonder why your best ideas come when you're not thinking at all? When you're taking a shower? When you're doing something simple, something that doesn't require overanalyzing? It's because clarity comes from stillness, not forced thinking, not analyzing every possible angle. Your best answers come when your mind is relaxed, not when you're forcing it to work overtime. Overthinking makes you feel like you're doing something productive, but in reality, it's just mental clutter. And the more clutter there is, the less space you have for real insight. Think of your mind like a cup of muddy water. The more you stir it, the cloudier it gets. The more you try to fix your thoughts by thinking even harder, the more tangled they become. But if you just let it be, the mud settles, the water becomes clear, and suddenly you see things as they really are. You can't force clarity, you can't force peace. You just have to stop stirring the water. Let your thoughts settle. Most people don't realize this, but overthinking isn't thinking at all. It's actually a distraction from feeling. Every time you overthink, you're usually avoiding something deeper. A fear, a doubt, something uncomfortable that your mind would rather analyze than actually feel. And this is where most people get stuck. They try to think their way out of a feeling, but feelings don't work like that. You can't solve an emotion with logic. You just have to let it move through you instead of trying to outthink it. That's where real clarity happens. Ever notice how the things you overthink the most tend to be the things you care about the most? You don't overthink something that doesn't matter to you. Which means overthinking is usually tied to attachment. Attachment to a certain outcome, attachment to a certain idea of how things should be, attachment to someone else's opinion of you. But attachment leads to suffering, because the moment your mind locks onto something and refuses to let go, that's when the fear starts, the fear of losing it, the fear of it not going the way you want, the fear of not being enough, and suddenly you're overthinking every possible scenario. Trying to prevent something that hasn't even happened yet. Detachment isn't about not caring. It's about trusting that whatever happens, you'll handle it. Because you always do. Think about it. How many things have you survived that you once thought would break you? And yet, you made it through. Because at the end of the day, the truth is simple. You can't control life, but you can always control how you respond to it. And overthinking? It's just trying to control something that was never yours to control in the first place. Here's something most people never think about. If overthinking actually helped, wouldn't you already have the perfect life? If obsessing over something actually fixed it, you'd be at peace by now. But instead, the more you think, the more stuck you feel. The more you analyze, the less you trust yourself. Because overthinking isn't about solving problems. It's about avoiding action. And sometimes the only way to know what's right is to stop thinking and just do. Here's a harsh truth. Most people never actually live their lives. They just react to their thoughts. They let their worries dictate their decisions. They let their fears decide their future. They let their own mind become their biggest cage. But life isn't happening in your head. It's happening right here. And every second you spend overthinking, you're missing out on the only thing that's actually real. This moment. You want freedom? Let go. Not just of overthinking, but of the illusion that thinking more is the answer. Because peace was never found in the mind. It was always found in the space between the thoughts.